Hello, everyone. Welcome yet again to another podcast. We are on episode 12. Can y'all believe that? Episode 12. I was not on last week. I wasn't feeling well. I had fallen in the bathtub in the shower and I was just resting last week. So I want to thank everybody for your prayers and your love. I'm feeling really good today. So thank you in advance. God bless you. God keep you. And so I just want to tell you that this podcast means a lot to me. This is something that has been birthed for many years. And so the Real Conversation, Real Motivation podcast is all about diving deep into real conversations about life and sharing powerful testimonies. I'm your host, Michele Bradford, and every week I'm bringing you refreshing topics and provide you with practical motivation. I hope that this podcast offers you a dose of positivity to help you navigate life by bringing awareness to real life challenges. So, whether you're looking for healing from past trauma, finding resolutions from issues, or just simply needing a boost of a boost of encouragement, you are in the right place. So I always encourage everybody to go over and subscribe to my new YouTube channel, Real Conversation, Real Motivation, RCRM podcast over on YouTube. You can also hit me up on Facebook, Michele Bradford, or you can hit me up on, RCRM on Facebook. I'm a little bit everywhere on Twitch as well. I'm only broadcasting over on Facebook and YouTube currently, and then on my phone, I got you guys over here on Instagram because I've been challenged with going live on Instagram on my laptop, and so I'm on my phone live over on Instagram. So I want to welcome you all to my podcast, and let's get started. Let's talk about something that is near and dear to my heart. This is a part of my testimony. This is a part of my journey. And so I know a lot of us deal with negativity on a regular basis, either, somebody in your life that's negative, or you might be the person that's negative. So I'm sharing with you my negativity, where I come from and who I am and where I'm going, because I can tell you that, it is a challenge when you're used to being a certain kind of way, or you feel a certain kind of way and your emotions is driving everything. When you're feeling slighted, or you feel like people don't care, you don't feel supported. The thing is that these are all kind of negative thoughts and feelings that you may be having because of something that happens to you. So what I'm coming today is I'm going to share with you about me, where I come from. I have found strength to be able to pull myself up by my bootstraps after, living with chronic illness ever since I was a little child when I got hit by a car. And I suffered from that point at 6 years old. I've been suffering. And so can you imagine just suffering from 6 years old to now? I'll be 55 in a few years, and never had any guidance or understanding of the suffering, and never being able to have somebody to tell me what was wrong with me, that would tell me that it's all in my head, that I'm a pill popper, that all I wanted to do is take pain medicine. And all I wanted people to do was listen to me, hear me. And I never felt heard. And so after a while, I just felt like everybody didn't care about me, that they gave up on me, that they ignored me. I felt ignored my whole life, no matter what I said or what I did. Even now, sometimes I feel ignored, but I deal with it differently. It's kind of like, oh, well, they're lost. But in the past, I would just be so hurt. I would look at people and their life was just great, awesome. They were going to college, they were having friends, they were having families, they were doing vacations. And all I was doing was sitting still, trying to figure out what was wrong with me. I never had a normal childhood. I never had a normal teenage life. I never had a normal adult life. I don't know what it feels to be normal because I never had that. From the day that I was 6 years old and got hit by that car, my life changed tremendously. And all I was doing was surviving. And so now I am here thriving, and I'm sharing this because there's somebody out there in this world that is dealing with the same thing that I dealt with at the age of 6 to till 55. This is a journey. This is not a race. This is a journey. I've been through hell and back, miles and miles and millions of dollars I've of medication and hospitalizations and trials and error and different things like that. There's been a lot that has gone on in my life, you know and now people will say, you look different, you act different, you're not the same person. And I'm definitely not the person that I used to be. And I'm thankful and grateful to God for that. I am just so grateful for that, because there's some people out there in this world that never overcome. They never get past the negativity. They never get past the hatefulness and the jealousy and the manipulation. And they never get past the mental health, the mental struggles that they have because of whatever they got going on in their life. There are people that have been molested and gone through trauma and all kinds of stuff in their life, that have been hurt, that have gone through the R word, and they've gone through dating R. They've gone through a lot. Many of us have gone through a lot of different things in our life that, when people say that, thank God I don't look like what I've been through, I am so thankful that I don't look like what I've been through. I've been taken advantage of. I've allowed people to take advantage because I was so desperate to have friends and have people in my life. And so I let people use me. I was a doormat. So when I tell y'all that, my life has not been grand, and I'm not complaining right now, I'm only just laying the foundation of what I've been through so you understand my struggle and how I was able to, instead of dive deep down into the volcano, that I was able to walk around it, to move around it. I was able to climb out of it with God's help. I was able to move through it, and so my attitude is different. I stand differently. I look differently. And so I'm just coming to you guys to share with you, what? No matter what you're going through, it don't matter if you 6 years old or you 76 years old, 96 years old. It's never too late to move out of a circumstance that may be plaguing you in your life. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about, um, how to improve your life, how to have a better outlook, the benefits of having positive thoughts, because that's number one. A lot of people think that the physical illness is the driver, but it's not. Your thoughts are what's drive everything, because if you have negative thoughts, if you have negative feelings, that goes all through your body. Stress, all of that mental stuff that you're going through, the stress, all of that, depending on how you're dealing with it, is what causes you to be even sicker. You might be sick, but it's going to cause you to be even sicker because of the way you're dealing with it and the way you're coping with it. So when you're feeling down, and the last thing you want to do is hear, the positive stuff. Sometimes there's people like, oh, she gets on my nerves. She's always positive. But let me tell you something. I'm not always positive. Things happen in my life all the time. I get frustrated. I might get disappointed. I might be mad. Might get angry. But the thing of it is that you can't spend time with those negative feelings for the duration. You can't stay with those negative feelings for eternity. I remember back in the day, and my friends will tell you, I would hold a grudge with somebody for the rest of my life. If somebody did me wrong, I would tell you, I'm gonna step over your body if you died. And that is really horrible. That's a horrible. I was so proud of that. I would ignore you like you wasn't even there. But the thing of it is that you can't allow those feelings of negativity, frustration, badness, anger to drive your life. You have to acknowledge them. You know what? I am angry, but I'm not going to let this keep me from being. I'm going to be angry in this moment, and then I'm going to move on. I'm not going to let this just like have bitterness in my heart and sadness and disappointment in my heart and be depressed. I'm not going to do that, you know? So it's okay. It's okay to be angry and it's just the way that you deal with it. So, you got to be realistic, because positivity doesn't mean that you're ignoring the negativity, that you're ignoring the stuff that's happened to you, that you're ignoring the stress. Sometimes, it's just, you might get some bad news or a stressful situation, but you have to look beyond the crisis or the setback. You know what I mean? You got to look beyond that. You go, and sometimes you just acknowledging the process of the negativity, but then understanding that you will get through it. It's not who you are right for the rest of your life. It's happening right now, but it won't be this way always. I used to get so angry when people would say, let go and let God, or it won't be this way always. You know, they're trying to encourage me, but I was so engulfed in being negative, it would make me mad when people would say that. But now I understand the concept of, you may have that moment right now, but it's not who you are, it's not your situation, it's just happening at the moment, but it won't be this way always. So, as a positive thinker, I'm just have to continue to keep assuming the best intentions. You know, I have to manifest myself, interpret my life positively, even when it's stuff that I don't have or something that I have a desire and want. I have to manifest those things, and I have to, even if right now I may not be feeling the greatest, but I'm manifesting goodness. I'm happy, I'm joyful, I'm going to be healthy. So manifesting, sometimes when you're manifesting, and I'll be honest with you, you may not feel it. You may be like, I really don't feel this, but I'm going to manifest it anyway. Because when you're manifesting out loud, when you're saying it out loud, you're the first person that hears yourself. God hears you, you hear yourself. And so the more you talk about it, and the more you talk through it, and the more you manifest it, do you know that those intentions will come true? So positive thinking starts with self talk. So the thoughts running through your head never end. So it may be from a clear fact of bias, but many have a positive and negative outcome. We all have that. So when I say we have patterns of behavior, we have patterns of thoughts, and we have to train ourselves not to think the negative. I will tell you, sometimes I will have intrusive thoughts, get them all the time. But the one thing I have trained myself to do, as soon as I get a negative thought, I tell myself, this is not real. I rebuke it. This is not a real thought. This is not true. I don't accept this. I don't accept it. So, the positive thoughts I accept, but those negative intrusive thoughts, I don't accept them. I will not have them. These are not a part of my life. I refuse that. And so you just have to remember that, even though it's an intrusive thought, rebuking a thought, sending that thought away and saying, you know what, you are not a part of my life. This is not me. This is just a thought right now. But you have to practice, self talk. You know what I mean? And it takes an effort. It takes an effort to adopt a positive uh, approach to your life. You have to train your brain to create new ways of thinking. You have to do that. So it is a lot of hard work. I always say all the time, self-care, self-love, self-respect, and self-compassion. Do you know that we have more compassion for other people than we do for ourselves sometimes? Sometimes we'll have compassion for others, but then when it comes to ourselves, we are so hard on ourselves. But when you have self-compassion, you have the ability to notice your own suffering and be able to be moved by it. You have to see that for yourself. So it's important that know that we're all human. We do make mistakes. We do go through hard times. We do struggle with emotion. And some of us struggle even more when you go through sickness, where you're in pain a lot. You have a lot of symptoms. Like I have like burning in my body. I have pain. I used to have migraines every day, all day. I used to stand up and I would pass out. I had syncope. Um, I had a lot of scary stuff. My heart would race. Right now, I'm dealing with a lot of allergies where I'm itching all the time. My blood pressure is stroke level. Dealing with cholesterol and diabetes, or borderline diabetes, and all these different things, because I have an illness that I found out that is the whole cause of my whole life. So I was born with the illness of connective tissue disorders, which caused my brain to herniate down in my spinal column when I got hit by a car at 6 years old, which caused me to have nausea and me to be susceptible to get sick all the time around people, me to have issues with menstruation where I had to have a hysterectomy at 36, me to have chemical sensitivity. I'm sensitive to a lot of chemicals, which I can't take anesthesia very well and get sick. And so there's all these things that have happened over my life. When I was young and I would go to the dentist and they would give me laughing gas, I would get sick every time. I would go into the hospital for a procedure and I would get sick every time. They would have to watch me and shake me because I would stop breathing. They would have to have somebody sit with me. And so recovery was really rough. So when I tell you I'm allergic to all pain medicine pretty much, when I had brain surgery, I couldn't even take medication in an IV. They had to give me Tylenol with codeine, and that still made me itch. But can you imagine having brain surgery, not being able to take morphine or fentanyl or any of that stuff in one of those machines because you have a highly allergic reaction to it? So it's scary. People, take tons of medicine. I remember I was taking 25 medications and I didn't realize it was killing me. I still take a few medicines. I have a blood pressure patch that I take that has regulated my blood pressure to the point where I'm able to be normal. I've been having blood pressure issues, stroke level blood pressures for 20, 25 years, where I would have neck pain and head pain all the time, and they couldn't regulate it because the blood pressure medication that they were giving me was causing me to have allergic reaction and almost killed me. So this patch that I'm taking is expensive, but when I tell you that this is what's keeping me alive, and so I believe in a good balance between Eastern and Western medicine. And the only reason why I'm sharing all of this with you is it's overwhelming. So when you are overwhelmed and you're not being heard and nothing's working for you, and all you know is eating food for comfort, and you're getting fat, you're getting fatter, and people are talking about you, calling you fat. So then now you're emotional because now you're being made fun of. And so you're going through this sickness and nobody understands what you're going through. You're trying to take medication and nothing's working. The doctors are not listening. They're telling you that you're crazy. You need to see a psychiatrist. It's all in your head. So when you have all this negativity around you, you tend to be negative. I'm being honest with you. You tend to be negative. It's one of those situations where you just want somebody to hear you. You want to be cared for. You want to be loved. And so I'm going to tell you, over the years, I've struggled. And I remember giving up on God. I gave up on myself. I gave up on my family. I gave up on everything. I was just tired. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I just was just done. But somewhere in the last, let me see, 12 years. I'm going to say 12, 13 years. I started figuring out my why. And actually, it probably was a little bit sooner than that. It was probably 13 years. I figured out my why. I wanted to be a motivational speaker. I wanted to travel the world and speak to people about positivity. But you know what I realized back then? I was still having my negative times. But I remember God speaking to me and telling me that my life was going to change. He told me I need to purge my life. And I started purging everything in my house. I didn't know what he meant. I thought he was talking about physical stuff. I thought he was talking about physical. But God was talking about physical, spiritual, emotional. He was talking about all of these things. And I started emotionally purging my feelings. And I wasn't a good person. I used to talk about people. I was so jealous of people. They were married and had a good family life. And the thing of it is, I was looking from the outside in at these people's lives. I don't know if their life was good or not, but what I saw was better than anything that I was going through. And so I realized why people didn't want to be around me. Do you know what making amends is? I had to make amends to a lot of people. And there are some people now that I still have not been able to make amends to, and they no longer want to talk to me or be in my life. And I have to accept that. But the thing of it is that, everybody do make mistakes. But at the time, I was in a massive struggle for my life. I was having seizures. I was passing out. I really was in a really bad place in my life. And those no excuses of why you mistreat people, but those are the reasons why I was doing the things that I was doing at the time. But I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm so joyful. I'm gonna tell you, I'm so joyful now because I'm able to recognize the person that I used to be. And I used to be stuck in a cycle of negative thoughts and replaying self doubt in my mind and feel like I was drowning in pessimism. I was sick. I was a single mother taking care of kids. I never really been in a real, truly healthy relationship in my life. I was sad. I was accepting men the way they treat me because I didn't feel like I deserved anything better. I wasn't taught a lot of things. My mother wasn't taught. My mother was of the streets because her mother died when she was 3, and my grandfather was working 2 or 3 jobs. And so my mother, she hung out. So she didn't know. And so the thing of it is that when you don't have a lot of nurturing in your life, you tend to just trial and error through your whole life, trial and error, trial and error. But let me tell you something. I am just so thankful and grateful right now. Even though I still got some things right now privately that I'm going through, I'm struggling. But I have not given up on my life. But one thing I will tell you is that people can see your change. They can see like the things that you've overcome. And so even when I moved to Florida, I was still having some PTSD of the way I was being treated on my jobs, how they, because I was disabled, they didn't want to accommodate me. And as soon as my FMLA would run out, they would fire me. Or as soon as I would get sick, something would happen, or I was losing 3 and 4 days of work. I work a job right now, I work from home. And let me tell you something. They have to tell me to take a vacation now. I used to didn't have vacation days. What's a vacation? I never took vacation. I never went anywhere. I think I went to Vegas a few times, but I never went anywhere because I didn't have vacation time. But I did go to college and lay down and do my homework. And this is when time started changing for me. So I was 40 years old back then. So that was 15 years ago. So it started even, I say it was 13 and 12 years ago, but it was even way before that because I think about, even when in 2004, one of my friends gave me some uh, some stuff, some healthy stuff, and I started using healthy stuff. And then 2014, I started working with Total Life Changes, and I started doing healthy, natural things, and so that's been helping. So all these different things I've been just throwing at the wall, trying to figure out what's going to help me to be better. So you have to be active in your life, in your self care. I never heard that. It's what I didn't know anything about self care. I didn't know anything about meditation. I didn't know anything about self love, self care. I gave up myself because I just kept giving and giving because I wanted people to support me. So I would just do and do and do. And people would use and use and use. And I thought that was going to be what would help me. And then I would have resentment towards that person because all they wanted was whatever I was giving, but they didn't give nothing in return. Very minimal. So I will have resentment, and then that's the negative feelings all over again. So then I will be emotional again. Then I'll be mad again. And so, sometimes you have to reserve yourself and give unto yourself that energy unto yourself. You can't give to other people when you don't have a reserve. Can I say that again for y'all? You cannot give to other people if you don't have anything on reserve. So you have to pour into yourself, pour into your heart, into your mind, into your soul before you give to other people. And so there's a lot of things that I used to do on YouTube. And, I really loved, unity and prayer and dancing and, like while no one's watching and doing all these other things. And I'm going to get back to that at some point in my life. But right now, I didn't have a whole lot to give back then, but I was just pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring until I had nothing left. And so now I am reserved. I'm no longer on camera because it would make me feel some kind of way. I felt like I was being judged. So God wanted me to let my voice, let my words, let my stories, my testimony be the focus, and not what I'm wearing, and not what I look like, and not my hair, and not my makeup, not my raps. And so it's not about me. This conversation is about you, and trying to overcome some of the things in your life that may be affecting you, and for me to share and to motivate you, because I asked God to allow me to be a motivational speaker. But being motivational, you also got to be able to identify the negative things too. So being positive is not always, you can't have a positive without a negative. That's in a battery, that's in life. Everything has a positive and a negative. And so being a motivational speaker, or encourager of people, you have to have both. And you got to be able to recognize both. Because negativity can significantly impact your mental and physical well-being. It contributes to depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, all of those things. So managing negative thoughts effectively is essential. Understanding the patterns and the triggers. And so, you know, it could take a long time to get them patterns under control, because you've been doing them for so long. It's like muscle memory. But when you want to make change, you start identifying the strategies that you need to do to help yourself to make those changes. you know so like I just said, identifying the patterns. What can help you to recognize the patterns in your thoughts? What's causing these thoughts? Figuring out how to feel better. That's one of the things that I had to do. And how I figured out how to feel better? I started working on myself. I started working on my thoughts. I started working on my natural healing, doing natural products and uh, different natural remedies. I started looking at what was causing me to feel bad, and I made those changes. Now, I don't have any control over the sickness, but I have control over what I put in, on, and around my body. So I'm very selective about the people that I deal with on a day to day basis. I have become more conscious about, you know, the chemicals that are in our foods, that's in our clothes, because when you buy clothes, these are materials. Have you ever looked up polyester or cotton, different things, and how they affect your body? Cotton is wonderful because it's natural. But there's a lot of stuff that is not natural. These clothes that you're buying, stuff that you're putting on your body, the hair products are not regulated by the FDA. The labeling is, but the product is not. So looking at the labels, I've talked about this in one of my other podcasts, talking about the chemicals that we put on our body. This is all connected, because these chemicals can change your behavior. It can change your thought process. It can cause you to be sick, mentally and physically sick. And so all of these things are connected up together. So I started, making my own soap this year. I started, before I started making soap, I was buying natural soap. I buy natural toothpaste. I Before I started making my own laundry soap, I would buy, regular laundry soap, but I would itch, and so I started buying the cheaper laundry soap. I mean, the more natural laundry soap. Hair products. Looking at the labels and seeing the different chemicals that's in the products. If you can't understand or you can't read it, don't buy it. A lot of people think instant is the best, and it's not. Because when you think about it, Think about all the chemicals that you're putting on your body, in and around your body every day. You can't stop all of the chemicals, but you can stop the compound of chemicals that you're putting on your body. So you can't keep them all out, but you can try your best. Organic, certified organic. When you're eating your meat, do you know this meat and stuff? They're putting steroids in the meat. They're putting steroids on all kind of stuff. When you're buying your vegetables, they're putting all kinds of pesticides and things like that. So there's so much stuff that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and these all affect your mental health. They affect your physical health. They are triggers. And so just like we talk about the positive things, and how we can identify the patterns. Identifying the patterns also means identifying the patterns in the stuff that you're using. What are you putting on your body that's causing you to have anxiety? What are you putting on your body that's causing fibroid tumors? Because Black women, especially young women, especially in puberty, we're using all these different products on our hair. We're using synthetic hair that has chemicals on it. We're using all kinds of stuff on our body. And those fibroid tumors, if you know that in our community, there's a lot more of the young girls and teenagers with fibroids than it is in other. I'm not saying other nationalities and other people don't have them, but we have a higher rate. And so looking at that, and so the thing is that we have to look at, because we carry our children in our womb. And so mental illness, these things can be carried on, because if you're nurturing your son and daughter and you have anxiety, guess what? They might have the same thing because you have it. So working on yourself so you can break the cycle in your family. Another thing that you can do therapeutically is to write down the negative thought, and then try to, provide a sense of control, or helping yourself through the process of your emotion as you're writing it down. It's very important. So for me, I don't write it down. I do it in my phone. I have it's called Google Keep. And Google Keep is a really great way if you don't want to use a piece of paper. I'm not a paper person because I just don't keep paper. But it's a really great tool app that you can put on your phone to write down thoughts. I do my grocery list. I do all kinds of stuff. I apologize. So Google Keep is a really great tool to use, because like I have all my medication on that. I have all of my podcasts, information, any reminders. I have my life testimonies, personal information, recipes, different tags that I use on posts on social media. And then they also have an archive. You can put things in archive, you can pull it out, put it in. And so this is a really great tool to use if you want to journal, have an e-journal. Some people like to write in paper journals. I don't like to do that. So it just really depends on how you record the negative thoughts, a journal, a diary. But, I use my Google Keep. Practicing mindfulness is one of the main things that I love to do, is that it can help you become more aware of your thoughts, your emotion, and allow you to detach from them and view them in like a outside observer. So the one thing that I will tell you that I have benefited from the negative thoughts is, negative thoughts have helped me to understand my strengths and my weaknesses, which has helped me to grow as a person, as a team member. And even whenever I get into a relationship, I've been working on myself so I can be a better person for a partner, because before I wanted a boyfriend, I wanted a husband, but I had not put in the work on myself. And so I've been putting in the work so that I could be a better person for myself, my family members, and for my husband, and for anybody that I come into contact with. So I accept all of my emotions, including the negative ones, because they are a part of me, allowing me to, appreciate the positive aspects of life. I'm fulfilling so much more in my life. My director said to me the other day, Michelle, you look really good. You look different. And I feel like I'm carrying myself differently, and people can see that. I have more joy in my heart. I have more strength and more understanding of who I am as a person. When I first met him, I complained a lot. I look back, I complained a lot. I was always sick. I didn't feel good. And that's who I was. Even on your social media, I conditioned myself so much. All I did was complain about this. My head hurt. I didn't feel good. I was in the bed. Da da da. It was always something. Now I'm not saying it was just negativity, but it was so much more than the positive. So we have to really condition ourselves to move out of those patterns of behavior and start like really embracing the positive sides of ourselves. And then embracing the failures is a natural part of life. So, but it also gives you a chance to learn and grow, so you can learn from those mistakes and actually learn and grow from that. So, instead of viewing a failure as a setback, see it as an opportunity for growth and self-improvement. That's what I did. Instead of I used to look at my failures like, you're so dumb and stupid. You're never going to be nothing. Look what you did. You're so dumb. But instead, I just keep pulling myself up by my bootstraps and keep trying. Even if I fail on something 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 times, I'm not going to be hard on myself. I may still say those things just because that's me. But at the same time, I'm saying it like, kick yourself in the butt and get up, try again, keep going, and stop, worrying about what other people think about you, and stop, being so hard on yourself, because we all are human beings and we all make mistakes. But being resilient, oh my gosh, cultivating resilience. I didn't even know what resilience was. So resiliency is ability to bounce back from adversity and challenges. Man, that has been a huge solution for my change of my life, is being resilient. All the stuff that I've been through, all the symptoms, you can have up to 98 symptoms or more with what all the stuff I got going through, you know, insurance and having out of pocket, spending thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, being in collections and debt, having bad debt, different stuff, because all these medications and different stuff that you have to take. Now, I still spend a lot of money on medications, but it's different. I these are things that I'm using to survive on, every single day. So reminding yourself, when you're overcoming obstacles, you immerse to become a stronger person. And adopting a mindset, reviewing that setback that you just had, it's temporary. It's not going to be this way always. It's just in that moment in time. Don't give up. Don't give in, because time is coming. Life is what it is. We all going to have setbacks, but just know that that's temporary. Forgiving yourself, forgiving other people. Stop holding grudges. I just talked about that, where I used to hold grudges. Do you know, when you holding that in your heart and your mind and soul, it is heavy on your mental. So practicing forgiveness for yourself and others is huge. Let go of the past. Release the negative emotion. Forgiveness is a gift that you give yourself freely. Do you know that? Freeing you from the burden and the bitterness. I used to be one bitter chick, man. Bitter about everything, because I just felt like it wasn't fair. God, why would you let me go through this? I'm sick. I feel like I'm a prisoner in my bed. I can't do nothing. I don't have my job. Don't understand. I don't have no vacation time. I'm off work 3-4 days a month without pay. My friends don't care. This one over here is going on vacation. This one here is getting married. This one here got a boyfriend. This one here is having children. This one here is doing this. And I'm over here stuck in the middle doing nothing. I used to have so much bitterness in my heart. I used to be so sad. I felt like I was being left behind, and I was so mad at God. I gave up on him too. I gave up on myself. Do you know what it's like to give up on yourself? But I'm grateful and thankful that I was able to pull myself out of that situation, even with all of the symptoms, the problems, the issues, the sickness, the brain surgeries, the medication, allergies, all of these things I had going on. My kids was going through, they was stressing me out. I'm stressing them out. My family not understanding nobody. I feel me feeling like nobody cared, me being emotional. So there's all these things, the stress of everything that was going on in my life. I was just bitter. But when you can overcome the bitterness and cultivate resiliency and practice forgiveness on other people and yourself and let go of the grudges that you were feeling, do you know that you will start living your life with an abundance? Another thing you have to do is surround yourself by positive people. I will tell you that I used to make excuses for people that were negative. Oh, that's just how they are. That's just who they are. I've been knowing them for 30 years. That's just them. But I realized that that person was sucking me dry. I had enough of me being a negative person. I had to start changing my life. And when I started changing, I started being able to identify, oh, that used to be me. And I have to separate myself because I'm trying to be elevated. So being elevated, I had to move myself out of a situation. Unfortunately, I may have known you for 30 years, but I have to move myself away from that because I'm not benefiting. I'm trying to water myself and grow. And so being friends, I'm not saying that I don't like you, but I needed to remove myself from that situation. And so I'm over here all by myself, y'all. And I love being alone, but I hate being alone. I love it, but I hate it. But when I tell you, I'd rather be by myself than be around some people that's just negative and nasty and judgmental. So identifying and spending more time with supportive and optimistic people and joining people with same interests and value and distancing yourself from the negative influence was one of the really big things, the big, huge things that I really had to take away from that. So it's important to challenge your negative thoughts. You know, when you start thinking them thoughts, like I told you before, rebuking those thoughts, saying, you know what, I'm not gonna. This is no, I am not this thought. I refuse to allow this into my psyche. And you have to manifest and speak on it. Don't let it fester and grow. And so getting out and enjoying life and knowing that life is short and tomorrow is tomorrow. When you wake up tomorrow, it's today. So enjoy your life as if there's no tomorrow because it's not promised to you. I want to be the best version of myself for myself and for my family. And so, just taking the time to focus on the solution of the things that I'm going through in my life and not the problems. So being solution minded and breaking down the problems into manageable steps, creating an action plan and focusing on what you have control over, using brainstorming techniques to generate multiple solutions. So you got to create a game plan. So even if you're going through something that's stressful, don't try to take it on all at once as a whole. Break it down into pieces, create a plan, and focus on what you have control over. If you don't have control over it, why are you letting it stress you out? There's nothing you can do about it. So approach it and let it go. So overcoming negative thoughts is a process that takes time and effort. It sure does. It's taken me 15 years, 16 years from that now that I'm thinking about it from start. And even now, I still have some things going on in my life. But when I say that I went from 1,000 times negativity to down to, 20, 30%, 20%, 15% negativity, thoughts, but I maintain them because we all going to have those. That's something that we are going to have. It's not like you're going to get away from the negative thoughts. It's all about how you deal with them. The negative things that are going on in your life, the stressors that's going on in your life. So if you can't stop the negative thoughts on your own and you're struggling, I would suggest you to get a therapist. Find you a cognitive behavioral therapist that can give you some techniques and some strategies. That's something that I'm looking into this year, because the pieces of the puzzle, the 20%, the 15% that I tell you that's still negative, I know that a cognitive behavioral therapist is going to get me over the hump. That person is the person that's going to help me to be down to a 5% negative. I know I can't get rid of all of it, but I can really work more on myself. But financially, I'm trying to move this year, Lord willing. And so, I want to find out eventually, somewhere in June or July, I want to find me a CBT, a cognitive behavioral therapist. It's going to be very helpful in me getting to the next level. So if you are trying to do mindful affirmations and you've never done that before, so I'm going to give you a few self beliefs, how to promote self beliefs. I'm going to give you a few things, phrases that you can use. I am capable and worthy. I am worthy of happiness. I am learning and growing every day. I have the strength to overcome challenges. I am surrounded by love and support. I am beautiful. I am awesome. And so that I am, you look in the mirror. If you don't want to do that, you can take sticky notes. And when I first started doing mindfulness, I would put sticky notes all over my house and on my refrigerator in different places. And that would on the mirror, and that would remind me. I had a little altar in front of my bed, and I would get down on the floor, and I would have these things all over the altar, and I would pray to God, and I would just say all these different things. And I would just, in the beginning, because I didn't remember, I would forget to do it. And so I put all these stickies everywhere so I wouldn't forget. And so being mindful is something that you have to teach yourself. Buy you some stickies from the Dollar Tree and stick them all over your house. I'm telling you, you'll condition yourself and you'll start doing it every day, and then you won't even need those stickies anymore. So anyway, I hope that something I said to you is going to help you in your long run with your mindfulness. That's going to help you with the negativity or the negative thoughts that you may be having in your life. I'm grateful that my family has forgiven me and some of my friends. And there are some people out there that I pray for every day that I get an opportunity to talk to. Um, that may have some negative feelings towards me. And then the people that I felt that mistreated me, I forgave them many years ago. And I'm thankful and grateful to God to give me that kind of heart now that I can forgive them, but also forgiving myself. And so, I want to tell you all, every single one of you, my friends, my enemies, my loved ones, my children, for anybody that's ever done something to me or something that I've done to them, I want to tell you all that I love you. And there's nothing that you can do about it, because I have unconditional love for you. And I want you to know that God loves you, and so do I. And so if you are going through the negative thoughts and the negative things, and you're not taking care of yourself, and you feel stress and you feel down and you feel anxiety and depression, it's because you have a lot of negative self-thought talk, and you not have to start speaking over your life. So even if you don't believe it in that moment, start speaking over your life. You are special. You are specially made. You are loved. You are capable. You are happy. Even when you don't feel happy, you are happy. I'm learning and growing. I'm going to be the best version of myself in 2025. I'm going to be consistent. That's one of my words. That my word for the new year is consistency. I'm going to be consistent this year. Last year is perseverance. The year before that, it was abundance. Another year was bold. I'm going to be bold this year. So you got to have these. I manifest a word every year, and my word this year is consistency. My manager told me his word for this year, and I love his word, thrive in 25. I love that. And so we have to do all things that's going to help us to be positive. And so those words, I have to keep myself focused. That word keeps me focused, consistency. And that's what I mean, consistent in my life. I have not been consistent. And this is what I need to do to be positive and healthy in my life. And so I'm speaking that over my life. So start speaking over your life. You got anxiety? I used to have it real bad. Depression, we all have those moments of depression, but that's okay. We have moments. Just don't be depressed. Don't say it's my depression. I might be depressed right now, but I give an expiration date. I will not be. I have my moment right now, but in 2 hours, I'm gonna get over it. Tomorrow, I'm gonna get over it. You got to speak over your life. You got to speak over it and speak what you want, because you are the one that hear the things that you're saying, and you can hear yourself saying these things. Speak over your life. The last thing I want to ask you all is, if you are receiving some kind of message, if you are enjoying this podcast, if you're enjoying the messages that I'm sharing, can you please share out this podcast with somebody in your family, but that might need to hear it, that might need to experience it? If you are interested in becoming a guest on my podcast, you can message me or DM me on any of the different platforms on Instagram, RCRM. You can hit me up on Facebook, RCRM, Michele Bradford on Facebook. It is Real Conversation, Real Motivation on YouTube, The Holistic Motivator on YouTube. And so I am so grateful and happy and joyful that I could share my testimony of how I'm overcoming negativity. How I'm continuing to finding ways to better my life, finding tools that's going to, and strategies that's going to take me to the next level. And I pray and I hope that something I said to you will help you get to the next level too. So don't forget to subscribe, like, comment. I love you. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. God bless you and keep you. And I hope that, you come back next Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and let's do this all over again. This is episode 12. Can you believe it? We are in episode 12. How can positivity let me do better than negativity does? God bless you and keep you. Take care of yourself.